curious souls. This is Mountain Mama of Mountain Mama Investigations. We are a Appalachian high strangeness and paranormal research team who is dedicated to the preservation of Appalachian and all historical locations through paranormal investigation, along with assisting families and those in need with paranormal crisis. So today we are actually going to go over our experience and our evidence at Poasttown School. Now, you may have seen some of the evidence already within some YouTube shorts that we've done or on TikTok. You can also check in there. But last video, we went over more of the history, the tragedies, kind of setting the stage on what could potentially be causing this haunting at Poasttown School, as is notoriously haunted. But for us, research is so important. So that's why we dig back as far as we can, as wide as we can, because it usually just helps us in an investigation to get an idea of what could be happening. So if you want to go back, know more about that history, know more about that research, check out that video, and we'll be right here waiting for you. So as I said, we'll be going over more experience and evidence. Now, everything that I go over here is going to be personal experience, meaning you may go into the school and have something completely opposite. You might experience absolutely nothing. I can't guarantee that. I can only tell you from my point of view, which is what makes the world beautiful with our individuality. So, I would say, as I've said many times before, and I will say many times after, that Poasttown can be daunting. It's huge. It's a large structure. And I have to say that I am impressed yet intrigued by some of the architecture and the ways that they actually laid out the school. And I know I've mentioned this before also, and maybe it's just because of where I had different styles of schools growing up in Kentucky, but I had never been in a school where the cafeteria and gymnasium was in the basement of the location. That was interesting to me. That was a first. So I will probably still be excited and perplexed by that for years to come. But anyhow, so one of my first experiences walking into the school is you don't go in through the main entrance. There's a side entrance that you go in. So that way you can set up headquarters and things like that too for investigating teams. And everyone had went outside. So it was just me. And I was sitting there just waiting, over eager to start investigating, if we're being completely honest. And a door slammed shut. And it echoed down the hall. And the chance of me being able to tell you which door is honestly slim to none because there's so many doors in the building. But I did take it as an opportunity to pull out my recorder and start doing some EVP work. Now, I'm going to tell you about some different sections and, reported haunting places or where others have had experience. There's a room when you first go in within the same area. I believe it's 109. And if you go on YouTube even, you can see the owner who has actually posted footage. They've experienced a lot living there too on the property. Where one of the doors slammed and actually hit him in the head. And it kind of cut and bloodied him up a bit. So that was a little bit concerning, something to watch out for. And then there's also an area in the basement. I believe maybe the dry goods room is probably the portion that they're talking about. And I'll go in more with my feeling and experience on that later on too. And then there's also a area upstairs known as the bad teacher room, where if you do something that would upset the teacher, the button on the intercom is supposed to press like they're trying to call the principal's office. So I would say that there was a lot of there is actually a personal account too of someone that I met. There's been 2 movies actually filmed in the school. And in one of those movies, it was, I believe, a makeup artist who they were hiding, to the sides, waiting till they had to touch up makeup or anything in that way or do effects. And that's when something whispered mommy in her ear. So all kinds of different things like that. Disembodied voices, shadows, apparitions, you name it. It's happened at the school there. Now, the way that we operate, which we love learning from other teams and other ways to investigate. But with my certification in parapsychology, I tend to want to lean more towards that scientific approach. I think it's really important. First off, if someone tells me that they've had experience, I'm going to believe them. I've had experiences myself. That's why we do what we do. But at the same time, I want to make sure that there is any kind of stigma removed when someone needs help or they need to tell someone about what they are experiencing. But then this also leads into an importance of scientific investigation, as paranormal is a pseudoscience. I cannot talk. It seems pseudoscience. There we go. We got there. Um, and I feel like we're not doing justice to the location, to the people, to the spirits, if we don't take the time to kind of drill down, find out the history, research the land, you know, what other kind of factors, whether it be mental, emotional, physical, that could be also playing a part in this. Um, so many times, and I'm sure I'll probably eventually do a series on this, it doesn't necessarily have to be a entity that is someone who once lived causing the issues at hand. Or maybe it's not an issue. Maybe there's harmony that can happen where everyone can live together. There's so many options. But if we don't take the time to research, to ask the questions, to go about it in a scientific way, to rule out things, then we're not really doing justice to anyone in this situation. So, with that being said, with the bad teacher room, I chose not to test that. Miss Johnson, I believe is her name. I didn't know Miss Johnson. I don't know if she was good. I don't know if she was bad. I don't know if she is a good teacher or a bad teacher. I know that there's a lot of stress that comes with being a teacher, and that has probably changed over the decades in many different ways, whether good or bad. So I didn't feel that it was my place to actually refer to her as a bad teacher or to even upset her in any way enough to where it feels like, that soul could be fearful enough that they're actually pressing a button asking for help. It's just not how we operate. For anyone else, no judgment there, none whatsoever. It's just not how we go about our investigation. We try to open it and go about it non-judgmental, open-minded. So that's one thing I will let you know that we didn't test, but there's still some other things that we had that was pretty interesting. So I would say a lot of movement throughout the school. I would say a portion of that could be where it's an old building. But what I mean by that is specifically like footsteps or, just kind of that presence of knowing something's in the room with you or thinking, did I just see like a head poke by and it just went back? Or, I think that I would describe it more as a curious nature. Like, okay, who are you? Now, the principal's office is located in this hallway that is very narrow. I was actually reading that it was one of the reasons they closed down the school. It was a safety hazard, actually having the hallway to be that small. It was pretty calm. It was pretty calm in the principal's office. Now, some of the other rooms that were down that way, it could have also been psychological, where we were kind of just expecting the unexpected. So we always try to rule that out or to take it into consideration because, we're going in these dark, creepy looking places in the middle of the night. It's natural that paranormal investigators are going to get scared. One of the reasons that you will actually hear us laugh at times, if you watch any of our lives, we do try to go live on Facebook, and we're working on getting enough to be able to do so on TikTok. But laughing is actually known to dispel negative energy because nothing really wants to attach to something that's happy as much. So at least that's just one of the beliefs. So if you ever see laughing, it's not meant out of disrespect. It's just to help keep us calm. And I felt like it was pretty okay. After I went down the hallway a couple times, it didn't bother me as much. I did start getting some feelings like something was walking behind me or something in that way. Now, I would say some of the most interesting and favorite evidence that we got was in the basement. So, listening back to EVP, I really expected there to be a lot of EVP in here. And maybe it's just hit or miss, or maybe they decide just to show in different ways to different people. I don't know. You could hear like some mumbling or something like that, like a conversation that was a bit far away, but you couldn't really get the gist of it. There is one little bit of EVP that we will probably actually post as a short. That way you can check it out. Let us know if you hear anything or what you hear. I'm not always going to claim there is something exactly there. A lot of times I can hear, especially in EVP, maybe it was the music education training in college there and all the years of audacity I had to use, but sometimes I can pick up just something that's a little bit different, but I can't always make out the words. It just depends on the situation. It depends on the strength of the energy coming through. We'll let you listen to it in a short and you can decide and let me know what you think it says. So in the basement, though, we were drawn to the gym. Now, the gym, I will say, although in the basement, I'm not going to let that go. It was very much like more of the country schools in Kentucky. And even some of the artwork and things on the walls, very similar. So, standing, I felt like I should have my back to a wall. And there's a stage that would have been on my left. There were a couple doors, an exit over towards the right. And that's where that feeling of like something was kind of poking around looking would happen. And I was shining my flashlight and going through there. And that's where the curious thing happened. So I was shining my light. I wanted to be able to take a look, see what else, might be hanging around there. And then my flashlight just took on a life of its own. So solid stream flashlight, looking for things. And then I was like, what's wrong with my flashlight? It starts pulsing. And then I was like, okay. So I was waiting on it to stop, thinking there was just something wrong. And it didn't stop. So I decided to lay it on the floor in the middle of the gym. And we proceeded with some EVP, asking questions. But then, I realized that I said, okay, wait a minute. This is pulsing in a certain rhythm. And I was like, well, what would that mean? And then finally kicked in Morse code. So I then asked myself, okay, what's the most known Morse code? What could this be? SOS. So we were asking if anyone needed any help, if they didn't want to be there, if maybe there was something that was keeping them there, but they didn't want to be. Did they need help moving on in some way? Now, this is not my property, so it's not my part to go in and start cleansing or anything in that way. That is not my job. That is done with permission. But the response was an SOS pulsing on the flashlight. So in the early 1900s, SOS, I think it was around 1906 or so, that's when Morse code was developed, SOS, and it originally was save our ship. But then later on, it was translated into save our souls. So SOS is used as a way to indicate a crisis situation, someone in distress, something going wrong. So we will actually go ahead, let you take a look at that video. Is it SOS from the other side? I don't know. But take a look, check it out. Communicate with me by speaking in your listening voice.
Sorry.
Is that you making the flashlight do that? Are you asking for help? Can you turn the flashlight off?
Shine your headlamp on it.
What is your name? Pretty neat, huh? Like I said, one of our most favorite pieces of evidence. Now, some of the others that we will be getting into right now, not everyone is great at seeing these. And I don't mean that you have to have a certain ability to see this. What I mean by that is some can see things more clearly than others when it comes to seeing an apparition or reflection in a window or something in that way. I struggle with it. So, what I actually did was take the time to circle these just to show you where we thought there was an anomaly or something just not right within the picture. And yeah, it may look a certain way to us, but it could look a certain way to others. We have to roll in psychology where the brain will actually try to take things and make images. It's a possibility. We can't say it's not. So these all these pictures were taken as we were getting ready to leave Poasttown. It was still dark out, and I actually just wanted to get some pictures of the building while it was dark, but also to take a picture sitting in front of it, just pointing up, like, yeah, we did Poasttown. We were so excited, you know? And like I said, I thought we were going to have more EVP work. I wasn't expecting anything to come back in the photos for some reason. But the photos are actually what was the most valuable besides that flashlight video out of the evidence that we caught with all the anomalies that you could see. So it all started when I was looking at that picture, like, yeah, look at this. Awesome. We can print it out, put it somewhere. We did Poasttown. And then I was like, what's above my head? What is that? Because everyone had already left the building or they were over in the opposite side, going into headquarters or sleeping area. Nobody was walking around the school at this point. That's what I mean by that. And that's whenever I looked closer, I'm like zooming up, and I had to lighten it a bit because it was dark. And what this photo actually looks like to us is a person, maybe with a little bit of longer hair. It could be, I could see, maybe a little more masculine, but I don't know. It was right behind me though. Uh, so take a look and see what you think. I don't have words. I don't know. So now going into the next one, that's whenever we started noticing that there were more faces and more faces. So this next one here actually has three different anomalies circled. One looks feminine in nature to me, almost like with an older hairstyle. That would be the one on the right. There's something else that looks kind of like creepy and clown-like. I don't know, and I don't know what kind of horror movies were actually filmed in the building. If there was any kind of residual energy for someone who put a lot of energy into their character, I don't know, but it just looks like a creepy clown thing to me. And then above it looks something more masculine, more hollow eyes. So take a look at these, form your own opinions, and let me know what you see. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was getting pretty perplexed at this point. Um, now, the next one here that we'll actually go over is, how do I explain it? So in this window, what it honestly looks like to me, and I have, circled in everything here as I struggle seeing these a lot too, is it looks almost like a 90s child. And what I mean by that is the haircut, the 90s like bowl cuts and everything. That's what this kind of looks like to me, is like a little boy almost, and just standing back from the window. So, see what you think of this one. Alrighty, and we got one more to go over. So, this one is also another circumstance where it looks like someone is standing back from the window. Now, what I'm making out whenever I see this is someone more in period clothing. I feel like even like a white shirt and suspenders kind of top deal. Um, they look a little bit older, maybe a beard. And then I don't remember, maybe I don't know, on top of the head there a bit too. It was just like it just seemed like it was an older person. Um, the clothing actually kind of reminds me a little more of like what you see portrayed as a style within the Amish community. So I don't know exactly what's happening there. That's just what I'm personally seeing. You may see something else entirely, and definitely please comment. Let us know what you see in these pictures versus what we're seeing in these pictures. Let's dig into some psychology or see if we agree upon the same thing. But take a look at this one and form your own thoughts. Yeah, I know. You think at the end of investigation, you take a cool picture for your own personal, treasure trove book or something of investigations, and then you start noticing some odd things in the windows. And I wasn't exactly expecting, well, no, I wasn't expecting at all to find these things in the windows, especially since I've stated multiple times that I'm not the best whenever it comes to viewing these. It could be right on TV and very apparent, and I'm like, what? I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know. So I hope that you've enjoyed this and just kind of knowing about our experience, what we had happen on the investigation, going over the evidence with us. Like I said, we will post most likely an EVP short for you to take a look at. Maybe you could let us know what you hear on the recording. And I will also go ahead and post a link, as I always do, just to explain, Mountain Mama Investigations is a nonprofit. That means that we go out, we fundraise by, you know, with spiritual services. We call that Mountain Mystic Mama, and it has things like tarot reading, distance Reiki. Um, it could be chakra readings and attunement. So there are certifications that we hold in order to do those kinds of things. Also, we also believe in toxic-free, metaphysical products. And you can find us on Facebook there for that too. It's Mountain Mystic Mama. Or if you're interested in working or talking within a group or community, then we also have that on Facebook too for the paranormal. It's called Haints and Hollers. So also check that out. We are on TikTok. You can keep up with us there. We definitely appreciate any support as we're working to also be able to open up our platforms of being able to go live. We try to do that in Haints and Hollers if you want to check in periodically. And we're working to be able to do that on TikTok. So if you don't follow us there, help us out. Give us a follow. And also, where we do help with trying to advocate for these historical locations, and also where we do private cases, helping those families in need. We are a registered nonprofit. Donations are always welcome, not required. I will go ahead and put the link there to our PayPal. That way, if you feel the need or this is a cause that you can get behind, or you want to support a family where maybe we need to call in spiritual practitioners who deserve to be compensated for their time or resources that we need to use, then that is the link where you can do that. As I said, no obligation. But we will be back with you soon as we are continuously and always working to provide you more content to let you be a part of this experience with us. And we are so thankful that you are here. Stay curious, my friends.